Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of
Talk, Heal, Evolve. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Ebony.
Ebony, let's take them on a journey of healing and self-discovery.
Yes.
Grab your seat.
Wrap yourself in a cozy blanket.
Don't forget that journal.
And prepare to dive into conversations that nurture the soul.
I think it's time to create intentional space for growth and evolution.
Girl, you ready?
Let's get into it.
Welcome, 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 guys, to another episode of Talk, Heal, Evolve. We are so excited to be here today.
Yes, sure am.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
We have another amazing topic for you all today. Today's topic surrounds no new friends.
Hey.
No new friends.
No friends.
How do we feel about that?
You can't sit at my table.
You can't sit at my table. Bitch, I will build my own.
Right.
Stephanie, get the wood.
Listen, you already know how I feel about that.
Get the wood, okay?
Know.
I got the nails and a hammer. I'ma try. But let's get into it.
Yeah.
Where do you think the notion came from for no new friends?
Ooh, so I feel like cliques have been around for forever.
For sure.
And I think that when we're kids, we got all kind of friends. We don't even
We
know
do.
their name.
We do.
You know?
Everybody is our friend when we're little. You know what I'm
You go to
saying?
New Zealand. You go in the pool the first day. Oh, my friend. I'm like, what's your friend's name? I don't know.
But that's my
But
friend.
that's my friend.
Period.
Right. And so I don't know really when you start to form like a solidified clique. But I'm thinking it has to be around middle school. You know, where you start to, these are our friends, and
Right.
the new girl who comes to school, she can't sit at this table.
Right. That's interesting because also from elementary, especially if you live in one place your entire life, your friends follow you up until high school.
Right.
And high school is sometimes where we start to disconnect because the middle school children split up into different places. So it's like we kind of have our friends along the journey from elementary to middle school, and then high school is when some of those friends come along, but then you get another group of new friends that came from different middle schools and stuff. So it's interesting.
It is interesting, and you would think that because you transition so much, right? You go from a preschool institution to elementary, to middle school, to high school. You would think that because you move through these different places that you'd still be open to meeting new people. It really stops at some point. And I don't know if it's when we think we find ourselves, you know how they say when boys are going to be smelling yourself? I don't know if it's when you start to smell yourself, if it's really when you say, yep, you're not cool enough.
Or could it be like we just create those bonds from childhood and it's like, well, this person knows me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this person just knows me. So this is my friend because we've already done so much together.
Girl,
we have our own
you
memories.
At 7, so you know you.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But at 7,
you think you do.
You think you do, right?
Yeah. That is funny.
We think we do. Yeah. So it's interesting because really majority of our friendships, our bonds that we create when we're younger are either family or neighborhood environment.
Right.
Because as the kids that we play, well, growing up, these days it's completely different.
I know.
Because we have technology and social media is on a whole different level. But back then it was either family, these my cousins, or family that wasn't blood, but y'all grew up together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. So how does society play into the notion of no new friends and these cliques? Like, how do they make kids become more cliquish, do you think? Because I think it does go back to technology now, right? Because you have the people in your class or whomever that you have their number, and Aaron is like, oh, can I FaceTime my friend? And I'm like, can you what? And so they get in these groups, and that's their group.
That's their group, right.
So when they go back to school, it's like, well, I don't have your number. You don't have FaceTime, or you don't have Apple, whatever. So then they start to segment themselves that way. So it's like all these new things help you isolate your groups.
Interesting. I mean, I think we did it when we were kids too. Like, if you were a cheerleader, most of your friends were cheerleaders. If you were an athlete, most of your friends were athletes.
Yeah.
Like, the activities that we shared in common were usually the people that were in our group or just people who were in close proximity to us in our neighborhoods and stuff like that. So I definitely think even growing up, we had our own cliques for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So how does that progress? How do we keep the clique? So Now we talk about when it starts, right?
Yeah.
So this elementary, high school age.
Yeah.
But you're coming into your adulthood, let's say college, or how does that still persist even when you do better, right? Because you know better. You know better.
Right.
So now you're doing better with yourself and, you know, keeping up yourself and learning things.
Right.
How do you still let that persist?
I think when you go to college, you don't really have a choice because now you're separated from everyone.
Yeah.
All of the people who you've known, especially if you travel to go to a different state for college. Now you really have to open yourself up to meeting new people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it can be great. And then sometimes you can meet and be in cliques or groups that you really don't need.
Great.
Right. That you don't need to be in.
But I think it fosters though itself when you get to those college environments.
Yeah.
Because we have all these different organizations that you join.
Absolutely.
And those are your friends.
Those are your friends.
Especially if it's like one of the Greek organizations, right?
For sure.
There's nobody getting in or getting out unless you're my sister because you go through so many things together.
Yes, it's a sisterhood or a brotherhood for people. And for some people, that's a really great thing because a lot of people come from independent households, being like the only child and stuff like that. So being able to form those connections with a major group of people can be good for some people.
I think so too, especially like you said, if you do go away to another state. It's like an immediate bond. Like you have no choice but to be my friend.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's an immediate bond. It's a new family that's outside of your regular family.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
So let's say that you do come from like a clique in high school and you go to college, you're open to these new experiences, and then you still join another clique, right?
Yeah.
How do you grow, or can you grow if you're just going from one clique to another as opposed to, or is that growth?
I think it can be growth, right? Because when you put yourself into a new environment, you can show up as who you've always been, or you can show up as the person you want to become, right? And then surround yourself with people who can identify, or you can identify with someone that is in, how do I want to say this? Because I'm getting tongue-tied right now. Moving into different locations, you can become who you want to become, right? So say, for instance, you come from a town where you were like the nerd or the geek or something like that. Yeah. Now you're in a new space, so you can kind of just be who you are. And I think social media makes it really awesome and opens it up for a lot of people because you can find like your own. Back in the day, you didn't have that.
Yeah, you didn't have a
so
lot of choice.
If you was weird or if you was like an outsider or just different, you was just kind of by yourself, one or two people. But with social media, it's like, okay, we all weird and we celebrate the weirdness, so you could be with us, you could sit with us,
right?
But I do think with social media these days and in the music, Drake definitely said it best when he said and when he said it, honey, everybody was like, no new friends, you know what I'm saying? So I think it can be beneficial in some aspects, but then in other aspects I feel like it can stunt like who you are or where you're trying to go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because allowing new people in your life gives new perspectives.
Absolutely.
To who you are. And really when you're on like the journey of growth, you know, I feel like you can't really see who you are being in the world until you get around people and you're kind of faced with who you're being. Because people will tell you about yourself nicely, you know, if they love you, it'll come from a place of love, but then you can kind of just see who you are out in the world. Yeah. It's different when you're just like by yourself and in your own little bubble and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can only see so much. So yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like when we do get in these groups, especially groups that we've been in for a long time.
For sure.
Or even, you know, when we get into a new environment and we become a part of a group, we kind of look for familiar characteristics.
For sure.
From people who we were.
Comfort.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that comfort can stunt your growth.
For sure.
And from becoming that person that you want to be, because if you're around the things and the people that you know,
right?
How are you going to get those fresh perspectives that you talk
about? Absolutely.
And how are you going to grow if you're not trying?
Right. Or if you're not even allowing yourself to be around people who challenge you and your perspectives and how you think. It's always good to be in groups where you feel like you can be level up in a way. So always surrounding yourself with people who are what you would consider to be like above you, or you just hold them to like a higher standard or a high regard.
Or if you see a characteristic that you like with someone, like, attach to them, see if it's authentic, how it can show up in who you are, and if it is real for you, so that you can attain or try to.
Absolutely, because I think that whether we realize it or not, who you are around is who you are. You know what I'm saying? Your circle speaks volumes to who you are and the character that you have and stuff. So I think that's important to just be aware of the people that you keep in your circle.
Yeah, and if you don't like how your circle is being perceived, I think it's really important to latch on to that, right?
Right.
Because if that's how they're looked at, or somebody's talking to you about, your group of friends, they're really talking about you.
Listen.
Because like you said, they're speaking for you. So be in the groups that you hold in high esteem or that you want to be. Because that's what they're talking about you.
Yeah, that's interesting when you say that. The thing that comes to my mind is like, how when you're in a relationship or in a marriage, they say that like your spouse is a representative of who you are. And even with your parents, how you go out in this world, you're a representative of them. So even like looking at your circle and realizing that we are a representative of our circle and the people that we hang around.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Don't embarrass me when you go out here.
Period.
Like, you're not going out here, Ma. So what are you talking about? No, don't embarrass me.
Please, okay?
So it's so true. And it's so funny because there are all these old sayings that people have and stuff, but it relates to now as well.
It does.
And that's how true. Our behaviors are, because for your parent to tell you don't embarrass them, or your spouse being concerned about how you dress and things like that, it's because who you're around is a reflection of you.
Very much so. Agreed. That's good.
I know.
Yeah.
So how do you know? So we talk about your circle being a reflection of you. How do we know when we need to change our circle? What would be some indicators that we can give people to know when you need to level up and change who you're around?
Well, I know one of the things that we talked about was, and one of the things that I really don't like, being around women or in a group of people when they call it people watch, but really what you're doing is you're watching people to talk about them.
Yeah.
I feel like that's low level energy for me.
It is low level energy because that means you have nothing else to talk about.
Right.
Why are we talking about them?
Why?
Right. What have you done this weekend? Or what did you do this week,
So I think it's like when you don't have anything else to talk about and you're surrounded by people and all y'all do is talk about other people.
Yeah.
It's time to make a change for sure.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
I think if you're doing the same things, right?
Yeah.
There are no new experiences in your group.
Yeah.
So if I want to do something, let's just go where we always go. Let's go to the place that we like. Oh, don't we like that eatery? Why don't we try a new one?
Please, because
so
we done ate there 1,000 times.
Right.
Let's
so
do something
they don't want to eat something new or try something different.
Yeah.
It's time for you to level up.
It is. Because now we're just being content.
Right.
And who wants to be content in
There's
that
no
way?
Growth in content.
There's no growth in content. And content can sometimes equal comfort. Like, there's no growth in contentment or comfortability.
Right. Content can also be an indicator of fear, right?
For sure.
Because you're scared to try something else.
Yes.
Then getting to the root of that fear is important, but just recognizing that the people around you and you are just scared to try something new.
Why is that? Why are we scared to try new things?
Fear of failure. What if I don't do well?
What if it's the fear of success?
That's a big one too.
That's a big one because I think sometimes the fear of succeeding at something doesn't have to be like a job or career, but just doing something that's out of the box and just the fear of succeeding at it because now you have to be that person.
Yes. So you have to do well going
forward. That's a whole nother topic.
I know. And it's a deep rooted thing with so many people.
Yeah.
Like there is a fear of failure. We know that.
For sure.
But the fear of being so great.
Yeah.
That's weighty. Let me make my note.
Ooh, I like that one. Okay.
So fear can be anything from failure to anxiety, just in a social setting.
For sure.
So if you do get social anxiety, what are some strategies that you can kind of remedy.
Right. Implement. I would say, even just speaking on my own experiences is really trying something new.
Yeah.
Being comfortable with getting out there and doing stuff on your own. Because I think it's a fear in that alone.
Yeah.
Just, we always want to have our friends come along or somebody. And then it's like, well, if they say no, then you're not doing it. Right. Just being comfortable in your own skin to just get out there and do things.
Yeah.
Like for me, I took up salsa dancing classes, ballroom dancing classes, which I got 2 left feet. So my first day, I was like, oh, this is going to be a drag, but also excited because I'm trying something new. So just let go and just have some fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not think about it. I also started going to the gym, which was intimidating at first. So for me, I know myself and I figure, well, if I'm going to work out, let me do it in a group form.
Yeah.
Then 1, I get to meet new people. And then 2, I don't have to feel so intimidated because even though it's not an actual personal trainer, you still get the benefits of a personal trainer in small group settings.
Yeah.
So it's just doing things that's outside of your comfort zone, but also doing things that make you feel good. Like write a bucket list. You know what I mean? I don't even remember the last time somebody said a bucket list.
Right.
You know, like, but let's just write down some things, like 5 things that we want to accomplish that are fun, that could be a potential hobby.
Yeah.
And then just let's go for it, you know?
When you say that, it reminds me of like vacations, right? Girls' trips and things like that.
For sure.
Where everybody's going and you're super excited. Even the organizer, right? You're super excited about doing it. And then as people drop out, like y'all know y'all do, you're like, well, I don't even want to do this anymore. Right. But what you say is important. Being comfortable to do things by yourself.
Right.
Is super important.
How many people are doing solo trips? Like, I love that. I love that. And it takes some kind of goal to just say, you know what, I'm just going to go and travel. And honestly, though, I feel like you'll probably have that. Now, granted, I've never done a solo travel outside of the country, but it's something that's actually on my list. To just go and enjoy myself and just be.
You know, it's so fun.
Okay.
So
have you done it?
I have.
Okay.
In a simplified form, okay? I wasn't out here just traveling. But no, my cousin, who I love so dearly, he was working, out the country all the time.
Okay.
So one time I got the opportunity, to visit him in Japan.
Love it. Okay.
So I went, but he's working during the day.
Right.
So what the hell am I about to do all day until he comes home? And so one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to Tokyo proper.
Period.
Yeah. And I was so freaking scared because nobody's going to understand me. I'm Black in a predominantly Asian society. Where they don't like Black people. There were all of these things running through my head. Right. How can I contact him if I get lost? Like, just so many different fears. And so I got my happy ass on that train, okay? And it was just, like, the best experience. Yes. Because you never know, right? So I'm on the train, and they love Black people, first of all.
Right.
They wanted to practice their English with me. If I had a question,
they
were just, like, ready to answer. I didn't have to check in with anybody do you want to go? Do you want to eat?
Yeah.
I just did whatever the fuck I wanted to do.
Right.
And it was just glorious to just bask in your ownness,
Right.
And so I just had so much fun.
And I think that's the best part of it all is because we can have fun with other people, but it's like, can we have fun with ourselves?
Yes.
Can we enjoy our own company?
For
you know what
real,
I mean?
Yep.
But one of the things that's really important, the thoughts that we have that hold us hostage.
Yes.
And stop us from doing all the things that we want to do. Yeah. It's so interesting because they're thoughts about things that haven't even happened yet.
That's it.
They haven't even happened yet.
Yeah.
And it gives us anxiety. I mean, I remember when I first started my journey as a chef. And I remember getting this one client who was in high society, I'll say. And she's like, all right, like the mayor is going to be at this event and all these da-da-da-da. I tell you, on my way to her house the day of the event, I had so many, like, I should just call and say I'm sick. Yes. I was so scared to just, what if people don't like my food? Oh my God, all the thoughts, all the things. And I remember pulling over to the side of the road and just being like, breathe. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you've made it this far, just breathe. But in so many instances, I can see how those thoughts of things that haven't even happened yet can consume us and really hold us hostage and like, kind of disable us in a way from not moving, and it's interesting because once we get over that, we really see the beauty in, oh my God, this was amazing. You know what I mean?
That's what I really wanted. I couldn't wait for you to get to that part because I'm like, the feeling after you have conquered something that almost paralyzed you is just like,
yeah.
What that man say? What did he say about your food? Because I want to know. Because I had a damn good time. So what did the man say about your food?
Well, they loved it. But not even that. They loved me and my personality. Yes. And it's like, we just want to have conversations. Yeah. And I think one of the things that used to scare me the most is that not only did people want my food, but they also wanted me to be a part of the event. Yes. You know what I mean? And I used to be like, but I'm just this little black girl from Riverdale. Yes. I'm just this little I used to say that all the time. But it's like, girl, you can sit with us. Honestly, they were extending their table to me, and that felt really good. And obviously, I create forever clients. Yeah. So they became forever clients. You know what I mean? So it was good, but it was just getting over that mindset, like that crippling those thoughts. You know what I mean? But
and they really can paralyze you. And the thing I want people to really understand is that you're creating your own anxiety,
for
right?
Sure.
A lot of times. Sometimes it is a chemical thing that's very real for people, but in most instances, you're creating your own doubt. You're creating all these scenarios that, like you say, haven't even happened yet. So wipe that away and just try the thing, because the real premise of this episode is you haven't met everybody that's going to love you.
Absolutely.
Right? There's so many people out there who you haven't even met that's going to love you.
Please come.
Right. And like you said, those people welcomed you with open arms.
Absolutely.
Loving on you by, procuring your services again. So like, that's how you grow your circle, and just by stepping out there, You
have to step out there. You have to open yourself up and allow people, because if not, how are they going to know you?
Right.
How are they going to meet you?
Right. How are you going to know you if you don't overcome some of the challenges that you're faced with?
Absolutely. So one of the things that just came to me is like, in those moments, or in the moments that we have that hold us hostage, our thoughts and stuff, like, what's one or two things that you do in order to like push through?
So one of the things is like, first of all, take a second. Yeah. And really analyze like because the thoughts are going to come, because sometimes you can't do anything about it. The doubt just comes in.
It comes.
But it's just really recognizing like, oh my gosh, I could, but wait a minute. What is actually happening? So just taking a breather, and just figuring out, what are you about to do? Yeah. What are the real concerns that you have? Because sometimes your intuition and your gut, it really is speaking to you, right? But is that what's happening now, or am I just doubting myself? So I think just taking a second to woosah is really important to kind of identify and sort those thoughts.
Agreed. Kind of same notion, breathe. Yeah. Like, just breathe. Like, just be still and breathe. I think is the most important, because there's scientific facts around it. Now, I'm not going to quote any, but there's something that happens in the brain and in the body when you just breathe. You know what I mean? So that would be like the number one thing. Yeah.
I think another thing is if these challenges come up, right? What are some solutions to the challenge, right? So if I do get on the train and I get lost, what could I do while I'm in motion to getting on that train? Though, what could I do if I do get lost, or what could I do if I can't speak the language? What do I do if so
prepping yourself for the what ifs?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's actually a really good idea. Yeah. So it's like, just preparing yourself for anything that could possibly go wrong. Right. So that way, if something goes wrong, you're prepared for it.
Exactly. And
that's a good idea.
It's funny because y'all know I work in the wedding industry, right? And so any outside wedding will have a contingency plan.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times my brides don't want to go through the contingency plan. Right. Because they're like, oh, we don't want to call the rain. Girl, you better come and let's practice this thing, because whether we call it or not, he's going to do what he's going to do. Period. So, some garden might need watering. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, you're not calling anything. It's being prepared. And so
I love that.
Addressing those things.
I love that. And we do it in business. And it's like, if we do it in business, why not do it in our personal lives?
Right.
Okay, makes sense. I got a little homework to do.
I mean,
got a little homework to do. Okay.
So I have another one, and I know you're going to love this. Okay. I know there's a lot of strategies, but I love this for everybody. What about being vulnerable? as a strategy to opening your circle to reducing that social anxiety?
I think honestly that's the most important thing that you can do. And it takes some goal for sure. Yeah. Because I think that we can be fearful of putting ourselves out there and getting hurt. Yeah. Or putting ourselves out there and people not understanding or who we are and how we are. But I think that there's power in vulnerability. And honestly, when you are just completely vulnerable with who you are. Now, I'm not saying go in there and cry, tell your whole story. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, don't vomit all your stories onto somebody. But just being vulnerable and authentic with who you are and where you are, people will gravitate towards you. And they love, I feel like it's a lost art these days. Like, legit a lost art. Yeah. And there's beauty in it. And the right people will come around you when you're vulnerable, and a lot of people will start to show up in different ways. Yeah.
And I think that when you are vulnerable, like you said, people will show up, but they'll show up in a way to pour into you and to love on you, right? Yeah. Because maybe they've been there and they recognize that fear. Oh, girl, don't worry, because if that happens, right. If he don't like you, I'm going to step in it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so just being honest about where you are can also allow people to love on you and widen that circle.
Absolutely. I'm starting to see that more in my life, even with like my forever clients and stuff. And just people are people. Like people are people no matter if they on TV or whatever. Like people are people. And I think that trust is built more when you are just who you are with people and you show up. It's like my story isn't going to change from one client to a family member. My story is my story. Where I'm at in life is where I'm at. The decisions that I plan on making, I share that with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, and I start to see the beauty in it. And you'll be surprised at how many people, like you said, have been in that space and they really just want to help you because they're like, oh, I recognize that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's okay to be there and give yourself grace and da-da-da-da. So it's power in that, man. And it's a lost art in this world, in this society.
It is, because even though I find that there is this notion of no new friends, there's also a notion of I got myself here and I don't need help from anyone, you know? And so when you do reach out and you are open about, you did just get here. Like there are people who've been doing this for quite some time. Right. And so if you allow them to come in and, just get in where they fit and just love on you a little bit, absolutely, you'll go even further.
Go so far. Yeah. And you know what? I've been in that space where it's like I can do everything by myself. I got it. Oh my God. Listen, that takes a toll on you.
That ain't the space for me.
It's not. Please help me, sir. Wrist broke. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to do all of the things. Yeah. I'm really not. I will literally allow you to help me, and I'll put myself in a space to be helped. In ways that, because honestly, you can go far by yourself. Yeah. But you can go further with other people.
Absolutely.
Like in this. Like, even with the podcast, right? We could have did this on our own. Yeah. And it would have been successful either way. Yeah. But it feels so good to not have to be like, I can rely on Stephanie sometimes when I'm out of it. And when Stephanie is out of it, she can rely on me. It feels good to not have to do all the things. You know what I mean? And then also, when I'm out of it, I can rely on her to be like, girl, what are we doing? What are we doing? Sure. So, yeah, I think that also goes with like building your circle, building your community. And it's important because we thrive in community.
We do.
Like,
we do.
We're people that need people.
Yeah. And we're built different. Everybody's built differently. And so it's funny because when I first started, up until recently, I would even say maybe like 2 years ago. Yeah. I remember like when I go break down an event, if I'm handling it by myself because the team is doing something else, I'd be like, no, I got it. And these grown men are like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I got it. And so at one time I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, yes, I need help.
Period.
And, it just went so fast. I didn't feel so tired after. And it was just like, yo, why am I? And my dad says it all the time, like, from since I was young.
Yeah.
I don't refuse help. He'd always tell me, or like if we're on a job, he'd be like, oh, I don't refuse help, thinking I'm in my head, I'm like, yo, what are you saying? Like, they're paying us. And now I'm just like, yes, thank you. If you can grab that would help me so much.
Don't ask if you're not serious.
Listen, because I'm going to
say yes. Period. So
again, just being vulnerable and opening up yourself for whatever is to come.
Agreed. 1,000%. And I feel like even in this small little conversation, there's a lot of power in it, and just realizing that opening yourself up to a community and for new people to come into your life can be so beneficial.
It can.
To our personal growth, to our mental health.
Yeah.
That why stunt your growth? Why keep yourself bottled up or in a bubble when you can really be who you are and find your people?
Yeah, and you can even be who you didn't even know you were going to be, because how many people have you met in your new classes?
A lot. Right? Surprisingly, and it's been awesome too. Because it's like, at first you go, okay, how you doing? But then you realize like, oh my God, we have so much in common. Let's hang out. And then that hangout goes to something else, and then down the line you like, oh shit, I got a new friend.
Right. And
like
a whole new experiences to go along with that friend.
A whole new experience. Just opening ourselves up can be so beautiful. That just try it.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Yeah. Don't be scared. I do want to preface this though.
Yeah.
I should have said it before. That's what preface means. But don't open yourself up to people that you know are not going to be beneficial to you. So like being open, we mean like opening yourself up for the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
But when you see people who are coming into your space who are leeches or who are bringing bad energy, use your discernment and cut those off.
Yeah, when you see it, cut it off for sure. Sometimes you won't know. And then you don't want to go into situations where so many bad things have happened that now you're looking for something to happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because, baby, we all do it.
Right. Right.
You're like so closed off, and one of the things that I really learned though is when we think that we can't trust people, I think that what we're really saying to ourselves is that we don't trust our own judgment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So with anything in life, there's always going to be risk. Be okay with taking a risk. The risk is I might get hurt. The risk is this person might not be who I thought they were. As long as you learn something from every person that you meet or every interaction or every experience, then you have grown in some way.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's okay if you meet someone and the person just doesn't happen to be your person or a best friend or whatever the case is.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared, and don't let it stop you. Don't let what other people do hinder you from putting yourself out there to meet more new people. Shit's gonna happen, but still just keep putting yourself out there and being who you are, because eventually the people that are meant for you, they'll come into your life.
Absolutely, especially if you're being your true self and you're growing in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So we talk about identifying people who we want to mirror and characteristics that we want to, add to ourselves. Just be cognizant of those things that you don't want to add. Like when people are bringing in things. Yeah. Again, use your discernment, like we're saying, but still be open.
Agreed.
But just go with your gut. You'll know.
That sounds like a journal entry.
It does, right?
It does.
It does. Tell them, Ebony.
So I would say open up your journal and write down 10 things that you would love your future self to have. Whether it's characteristics, whether it's lifestyle, whatever it is, just write down 10 things. But let it be things that are like values and morals. You know what I mean?
Not material.
Not material, right. Yeah. And write those things down. Go out to a new place. Try something new. So if you need ideas, improv. They have a lot of that in Atlanta. Take a dance class, whether it's salsa dancing, whether it's pole dancing, whether it's a twerking class. Do something different. Yeah. Like just go out there and try it. Remember those 10 things in the back of your head. And when you see those characteristics or values in other people, attach yourself to them. Just come up with a conversation. Yeah. You already have something in common because you're in the class. Yeah. Exactly. So the first question can be like, well, what brought you here?
Right.
How long have you been here? And just start it that way. You know what I mean? Let us know in the comments if you decide to do so. What are your 10 things that you've written down in your journal? We would love. Yeah. We would love to hear all the things in the comments below. But then also, let's just go back over some of the things that we gave them earlier. Yeah. With like identifying
some strategies to get over like social anxiety.
Yes, because that's a real thing.
It is.
Social anxiety is a real thing, and social awkwardness, because I used to be there. Okay, having to go into a new room and network with people, I used to sweat so bad. So bad. I'm like, if they don't come talk to me, I won't be talking to them.
Right. What time we gotta go?
Right. But then I really had to push myself to just start the conversation. Yeah. And even if it was awkward, like, girl, I don't even know. I'm here, but I don't really want to be here. I don't really know what to say to people. Even if it's that, you'll find somebody else who feels the exact same way.
I was feeling the same way every time.
Exactly.
Every time.
So put yourself out there. Yeah. Go to the new events. Like, some things that you can do, go on Facebook. Facebook got all the groups.
All the groups.
All the events. Meetup.com, or is it meetup.com or meetup something?
I don't know.
It's an app called Meetup where you can just put in your city and put in like the days that you want to go out, and all the events and things or classes that people have that they're hosting, they're on there.
And don't be afraid to go by yourself. So
don't.
Like, sip and paints are great to do by yourself.
Yes.
All these
outdoor activities.
Yeah.
Go on a hike.
Exactly.
Rock climbing. Yep. Like all the activities.
And things that you think you'll like to do, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when you start out, because you want to go somewhere that you like, so that just in case you don't meet somebody that is on your list, you still will have fun doing it.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. Yeah. So we gave you all so many good tips that you all can try. These are things that you can implement literally right away. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all for joining us on another episode. I hope you all got as much as you needed out of this conversation. For sure. And we have so many more coming your way. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe at the link in the description box below. And until next time.
See you then.
Bye.